Greetings, mortals. Welcome to another session of the Infernal Court in musical hell. I'm Diva, your judge, jury, executioner, and soulful soloist. Our next offender concerns a colorful group of characters struggling to overcome personal trials as they strive to excel in their art. No, not that one. That's not it either. Look, I'll make things easy for you. It's Joyful Noise. Joyful Noise's only real claim to fame is that it marked the return of Dolly Parton and Dolly Parton's breasts to the big screen. The three of you who have seen this movie and know it focuses on gospel music are no doubt wondering, is someone of my persuasion qualified to handle this topic? Fact is, I happen to like gospel music. What, just because I'm a hell fiend that means I only listen to death metal and Justin Bieber? Yeesh, don't be so racist. But it's true, gospel is the province of the other side, and they can be a bit touchy about their intellectual property. So to be safe, I called up my contacts at Heaven Industries to make sure there were no conflicts of interest involved in me taking on this case.
What, that piece of shit? Well, sure, knock yourself out, meh.
That answers that question. Let's examine the case of Joyful Noise. Our protagonists hail from the small southern town of Packashaw? Oh, hey, I know a Packashaw. He works down in Fifth Circle. Packashaw has been hit hard by the economic downturn, but that hasn't stopped the local church choir from participating at the ever-important regional semifinals for the Joyful Noise Gospel Choir competition.
There's not enough sharing, too much me, and too much double daring.
Dolly Parton and Queen Latifah are tearing it up as the choir's star performers Gigi Sparrow and Vi Rose Hill. Don't look at me, I didn't make up these names. But their duet is tragically cut short when Gigi's husband, choir director Bernard, suffers a dramatic heart attack. Oh no, this will really hurt their chances at the tri-regional quarterfinals. Bernard's cardiac episode proves fatal, so less than 5 minutes in we have a funeral. Well, this is shaping up to be a real feel-good movie.
Bernard loved life, and he knew how to live it. Isn't that right, Gigi?
The man had 5 kids. He must have loved something.
Ew, thanks. Luckily, local spiritual leader Pastor Dale is on hand to remind us of what is really important.
With his last breath, he led our choir to victory in the regional semifinals. Let the church say amen.
Amen. And isn't that what matters most in life? This is the first manifestation of sin number 1. The whole gospel competition thing is taken way too seriously. It's one thing when the characters are so invested in competing because it's their job, or because they're still in school and don't have other priorities. But the people in Joyful Noise have a lot going on in their lives, and trust me, more on that later. Yet they still treat this volunteer choir competition as the linchpin of their existence.
You go out there and win that competition. You hear?
We're counting on you.
Why? Will it provide money for the church or fill the bellies in the soup kitchen? Will it do anything at all to change the fact that this town is dying from the inside out? Now, of course, people look to art and music for comfort in times of crisis. That's what it's there for. But the characters are putting so much time and effort into this side project when most of them are struggling to make ends meet. It feels like a case of seriously skewed priorities. In fact, Bernard isn't even cold in the ground before Pastor Dale and Gigi are back to discussing the matter of the competition.
The only thing that would have made it perfect would have been if the choir had sung. But then there was no one to lead them.
I think I know where this is going. You need to replace Bernie as soon as possible so we can continue in the competition.
Yes, shame about your loss. Now let's get back to winning. Gigi is shocked to learn Vi Rose will be taking over the role of choir director, because obviously Gigi's status as the late director's wife and only rich person in Packashaw should have given her precedence. This makes things tense between the two ladies at the next rehearsal.
The council chose me over you.
When foxes pack the jury box, the chicken's always guilty.
And when folks get too wrapped up in themselves, they make very small packages.
Okay, who the here talks like that? This is an example of what's known as cornpone dialogue, aka sin number 2. The characters have a folksy, idiom-heavy way of speaking that is supposed to make them sound like old-fashioned salt-of-the-earth types. In reality, it makes them sound like a West Coast screenwriter who's never been 5 miles away from a Starbucks.
Just remember, it's always free cheese in the mousetrap. But trust me, the mice there ain't happy.
I'd call you stubborn, but that'd be an insult to mules. I mean, trying to fool me is like trying to sneak sunrise past a rooster.
What? Honest blog?
The metaphors can get really labored at times, which makes them even more distracting.
What you a falling rock zone? And anybody who stands too close to you is gonna have a whole mess of rocks fall on them too.
What? Come on, when you write something as awkward as that, you make your characters sound obviously scripted and unnatural. Like my brood mommy always said, don't tie a knot in my tail and tell me it's a horn polisher. In spite of Gigi and Vi Rose establishing their rivalry, rehearsals for the Joyful Noise competition continue. Vi's daughter Olivia has a solo in the next number, which is being performed over Vi's objections.
Okay, this is why I shouldn't have let y'all talk me into doing pop songs in church.
No, anything but that. I'm not referring to the pop music thing, but to sin number 3, the old versus new false dichotomy. Movies like Joyful Noise tend to try and stir up conflict by creating forced tension between the traditional, old-fashioned way of doing things and the daring pioneers who want to take their art in bold new directions.
I'm asking him to change his ways.
The choir thinks they'll have a better chance of winning if they sing hip popular tunes, but Vi and Pastor Dale object to the idea because, well, that's the problem. It's not really clear what their problem is. It's not like the choir wants to do My Humps or Whistle. They're singing Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror. So what's Vi's problem? For that matter, what's the choir's problem? Shouldn't they focus on whatever songs play into their strengths, regardless of when or why it was written? Or why not do both and showcase their versatility? The whole new is better than old idea is just simplistic to the point of ridiculousness. Another forced conflict crops up when Vi tells Olivia not to show off too much because it detracts from the message of the music.
My mother says when I sing, I should just be the instrument. Not try to be more important than God. But singing is the only time I feel important, where I don't feel like I'm this close to disappearing. I don't know, I guess I'm just being prideful.
In this case, Vi is actually right, but for the wrong reasons. Olivia needs to dial it back not because it's a vanity, but because she overdoes it and it ends up sounding terrible.
It's gonna feel real good, gonna make a difference, gonna make it right.
I'm asking, can you see?
But both the music and Olivia receive a thumbs up from Gigi's grandson Randy, who's visiting because of unspecified issues with his mother. Olivia and Randy are, of course, attracted to each other, and, of course, Gigi and Vi don't like that one bit.
You just stay away from that boy is all.
You date that little girl, Vi Rose will just about lay square eggs.
People, have we learned nothing from the Fantasticks?
And children, I guess, must get their own way the minute that you say no.
The family rivalry creates tension at a dinner with Pastor Dale, in addition to issues with Vi's son Walter, who has Asperger's, and insinuations that Vi's husband went back to the army because, okay, let's slow down and talk about sin number 4. There is way too much going on in this movie. All of the major characters have some deep, serious crisis in their lives, and it gets overwhelming. If I wanted to deal with a bunch of misery porn, I could just hang out by the holding pits. Or, watch Mad Men. The Hill family alone has the tension between Vi and Olivia, Walter's Asperger's, husband Marcus being away from home and estranged from Vi, on top of the whole choir drama. Any one of these ideas could make a good story, but all of them together is too much. And I haven't even gotten to the supporting cast yet. One of the weirder subplots involves the choir's choreographer, Erla, who hooks up with creepy Asian hick Mr. Sue because they're both lonely and desperate mostly.
I haven't been with anyone in 3 years.
4.
nothing like the sweet glow of mutual pity sex. But Erla ends up getting a real nasty surprise the morning after.
Mr. Sue!
Oh my God.
He just...
Came and went.
So that's 2 funerals in the first half hour, for those of you keeping score. And Erla's not worried so much about a fellow choir member dying in her bed as she is about how this will affect her reputation. And not even in the way you might think.
What man's ever gonna want to be with me after this? From now on, I'll just be known as the girl who, tap it and die.
I hear that.
What is wrong with you people? Oh, and there's also a choir member whose family hardware store ends up going out of business, and the unspecified issues with Randy's mother, and Gigi has to cope with the loss of her beloved husband, and there's a skeevy guy who obviously wants to get into Olivia's pants, but we've only got about 20 minutes to devote to this case, so let's focus on Olivia and Randy's relationship drama. Randy's in with the Hill family comes through Walter, who happens to be on the charmingly quirky side of the autism spectrum. His Asperger's mostly manifests in his obsession with one-hit wonders.
Did you know there have been more one-hit wonders in the hip-hop era than in the entire 30 years of music that preceded it?
So Randy gives Walter piano lessons and bonds with him, which allows Vi to smile approvingly behind his back. However, she draws the line when he wants to join the choir.
Yeah, when he's singing about being in love with strippers. I mean, do you know any decent songs? You just want to be near my little girl.
So she's okay with Randy teaching Walter I'm in love with a stripper, but she's not okay with him volunteering to help out with the gospel choir? I can't even set hoof in a church and I know this makes no sense. But Vi agrees to a trial run, and the next thing you know, Randy is belting out Maybe I'm Amazed for the congregation on Sunday morning. Even though Vi has made it clear that she isn't hot on the whole pop music in church thing. Look, forget it, let's just move on. So Olivia and Randy are hanging out together now, and this is where their romantic subplot turns into sin number 5. Movies in this genre rarely do the love story thing well, and Joyful Noise is no exception. It feels perfunctory. It doesn't give us much reason for Olivia and Randy to be attracted to each other except that they're both young and love music. Also, the movie sells Randy's really a good kid at heart angle too hard. He spends a lot of time talking to Olivia like he's her life coach.
So what? You deserve to be as proud as you can be. Seems to me your mother doesn't tell you that near enough.
But now that I, a big strong man, have validated your feelings, they're okay. Randy's also his own worst enemy when it comes to Vi's approval. First, he and Walter get into a fight with Manny the skeevy local kid. Then he takes Olivia on an all-night drive to see her dad at his station without either of them telling Vi. So, naturally, Vi tells him to stay away from her kids, and Randy wastes no time acting like he's the victim.
Hey, look, she may be the wicked bitch of the West down here in the sticks, but you take in my neighborhood and she would fold like a pair of
Don't you
tubes.
call her that.
Sure, you let Vi worry that you'd kidnapped her daughter and raped her and left her to die in some dumpster, but she's the bitch. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yeah, there was something about a choir competition in all this, wasn't there? Well, the choir does go to the regional finals, where we meet their rivals, the Holy Vision Church of Detroit? What's Georgia and Michigan doing in the same regional competition? Who set this thing up, the BCS? The Holy Vision folks are very good and have beaten our heroes in the past several competitions, but the noble underdogs pull together, do their best, and...
Cheer up. We can't win them all.
Lose? They lost the competition? And Pastor Dale is refusing to let the choir compete anymore because it's a strain on the church's already limited resources? Wow. That's a surprising and interesting turn of events. Maybe the characters will realize that the spiritual and emotional fulfillment they receive from music isn't something that can be ranked or quantified. Maybe they'll stop putting so much energy into chasing after meaningless accolades and really work hard to improve themselves and the world around them. Maybe I've underestimated this movie.
So you can sing with the choir in the finals in Los Angeles? That's right. Detroit got disqualified.
Or maybe Gigi will somehow find out that the Holy Vision Choir has been using professional ringers, get them disqualified, and they'll get into the Nationals by default. Come on, movie, do you think you can pull a Deus Ex Machina like that on me and not get called on it? So now the choir's going to California, but Gigi refuses to foot the bill for the trip unless Vi agrees to do the wonderful, shiny, brand new music instead of the evil, obsolete, traditional music she prefers. Vi does the mature, rational thing and immediately quits the choir.
Vi! You finally be choir master. I guess you finally got what you wanted.
I don't want to play with you anymore. I'm taking my choir robe and going home. Nobody seems to like or respect Vi as the choir director, and anyway, she doesn't so much direct as sit in the pew and listen to them sing. But Queen Latifah's name is above the title, so Gigi has to try to convince Vi to come back.
Oh, Gigi's so larger than life. Well, it pisses me off.
Whoa.
It is your holier-than-thou fire, rigid self-righteousness.
Whoa!
Oh, I'm so sick of you. You.
What? Whoa, 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 whoa! How old are you two? 8? I'm sorry, I've put it off for far too long. Sin number 7. None of the main characters are likable. I think I know why the other side disowned this movie. Watching it is like being stuck on a 2-hour bus ride with the loudest, most obnoxious group of people you can imagine. Gigi is vain and uses her money to bully people, Vi is a self-righteous prig, Olivia is a brat to her mother, and Randy is a sanctimonious prick. I just want to smack the good old country out of all of them.
Is there such a thing as being too good a Christian? Because that just may be my problem.
And yeah, that's another thing. I realize how weird it's going to sound for someone like me to be calling them on this, but by and large the characters' attitudes are, well, not very Christian. They don't show much empathy, forgiveness, humility, or charity, and spend most of their time in petty bickering. Even their music seems like little more than a means to an end. Apart from a nice moment where Vi sneaks into church at night and sings out her issues, none of the so-called gospel songs feel like actual expressions of faith. Obviously, identifying as a Christian isn't a safeguard against being mean, self-absorbed, and hypocritical. We've got whole circles of souls like that down here. But Joyful Noise wants us to believe that these are flawed, but basically good people, and they don't come off like that. They feel shallow, irritating, and unpleasant. Vi and Gigi's adolescent escapade gets Vi fired, giving her even less reason to want to give these people a second chance. But she does it anyway, mostly because Olivia guilt trips her into it.
Well, if you quit now, you're quitting on God.
Vi starts to warm to the choir's new booty shaking for Christ, while Randy continues to fulfill his role as mighty whitey savior of the town by convincing skeevy Manny to join the praise band on guitar. Everything's coming together, but Pastor Dale is still not feeling the groove of this wonderful hip new music.
The choir goes back to its old style, or I'll withdraw the competition application.
Well, you withdraw your support. You leave me no choice but to withdraw my support. If you know what I'm saying.
Wow, good job, both of you. Real love thy neighbor stuff right there. Surprisingly, Pastor Dale and his principals withstand Gigi and her checkbook, so the choir heads off to California without Clan Sparrow. Wait a minute, how much time do we have left in this movie anyway? You're kidding me. All that and we still have a half hour to go? Damn, and I thought Rebo the Genetic Opera had pacing issues. Not to worry. Using my demonic powers of divination, I will determine exactly how the remainder of this movie plays out. The choir despairs of their chances without their star performer. Olivia and Vi get into a big argument, during which Olivia says, "I'm not a child anymore," and Vi slaps the adolescent brat out of her. Meanwhile, Gigi and Randy figure out a way to strong-arm Pastor Dale into doing what they want, and the three jet off to Los Angeles just in time for the big competition. The rival choir performs, and they're really good. Once again, our heroes despair, but Vi rallies the troops with a rousing speech. And because they take a chance on their hip, daring new sound, they win over the audience, including Pastor Dale, and emerge triumphant. Vi and Olivia reconcile. Vi and Gigi make peace with one another. Olivia and Randy reunite, this time with her mother's blessing. Walter is coaxed out of his autistic shell. Erla overcomes her tragic romantic setback and finds true love. Marcus returns home to his loving family. And the whole town pitches in to save the hardware store, and everybody sings Christmas carols while a ringing bell announces Clarence has finally received his wings. Ah well, can't win 'em all. If Joyful Noise had been a satire of backstage congregational politics, it would probably have been a lot better. The self-absorbed characters obsessing over their pet project wouldn't be too out of place in a Christopher Guest movie. But it wants to be a feel-good inspirational flick, and on that level, it doesn't work. The cast are all stellar singers with good material to work with, but the songs tend to be overproduced, especially considering that this is a story about a small-town amateur choir. And the few genuinely moving moments can't compensate for the fact that the characters are mostly grating and unsympathetic, and the story is obvious and heavy-handed. In the end, it's just another paint-by-numbers competition story, and so the court of musical hell orders these punishments. For being an aggravating Gary Stu who forces his informed superiority on the rest of the cast, we condemn the character of Randy to a starring role in a chick tract. For burdening the story with way too many tragic turns and very important issues, we condemn Todd Graff to a guest spot in Funky Winkerbean. Finally, for forcing us to endure their shrill, egotistical, and falsely pious attitudes for 2 hours, we condemn the characters of Vi Rose Hill and Gigi Sparrow to spend eternity in each other's company. I can't think of a worse punishment to bestow upon anyone. So let it be recorded. This session of the Infernal Court in Musical Hell is now adjourned.